Students, I hope all of you are fine. We have done uh, plenty of things on our chapter, the last lesson. We have done themes, we have done characters, I've explained to you the chapter, and now is the time to discuss some of the questions which have been given in your textbook. The questions which have been given under the heading Think as you read of the chapter The Last Lesson of your textbook Flamingo. The first question is, what was Franz expected to be prepared with for school that day? Yes, you guessed it correct. You got it right. Franz was expected to be prepared with the rules of participles as instructed by his teacher M. Your second question is, what did Franz notice that was unusual about the school that day? The things which were unusual for Franz that day. The first thing, there was no noise coming from the classroom. On the other days, it was a lot of noisy class, the commotions and everything, but that day it was completely quiet as if a Sunday. Okay? And of course, after that, when he entered, he saw that his teacher is wearing his special dress, which he wore on prize and inspection days. And the third thing, which was the most unusual for him, very strange for him, was that the old villagers were occupying the back benches. This was the strangest for him, the most unusual thing for him. Got it? Now, come to the third question. What had been put up on the bulletin board? We all know it. The new order from Germans that from the next day, French would not be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Only German would be taught. The new German teacher would be arriving the next day. So this was what was written on the bulletin board in front of the town hall. Now, there are other questions given on the other page under the same shaded box by the name Think as you read. Two questions are given. The first question is, what changes did the order from Berlin cause in the school that day? The new rule from Berlin brought about many changes. Since it was M. Himmel's last day at the school, he was wearing his special dress, his frilled shirt, his black silk cap, green coat, everything as if it was prize or inspection day. Everybody was quiet and attentive and very, very serious. The students and the people, all the villagers, they realized the importance of their language. They realized the importance of having education They realized the importance of knowing their mother tongue properly. They understood the value of their teacher, and they knew that their teacher, M. Hamel, had served them selflessly for the last 40 years. And while rendering this service, he must never have imagined this kind of situation. The old villagers, to pay him respect, so the old villagers had come to the classroom and they occupied the backbenches to pay respect to this old man, to their teacher, to have rendered such selfless service of 40 years. Everybody was sincere, everybody was very, very serious and attentive to whatever he said. So these were the changes which the rule had brought upon the people. Your next question is, how did Franz's feelings about M. Hamel and school change? Sorry. Franz had always disliked his school. Of course, very few of you love your school. A casual attitude. He is a normal student like you. Like me, of course. Anybody can be such a student. Having the same attitude, same mindset to put all the learning till the next day. He disliked his teacher. He thought that he was cranky. He was very strict. Franz was afraid of his teacher because he always had his iron rod. But all of a sudden, when he got to know about this rule, his attitude towards everything changed. The school books, which had seemed to be burden, now seemed to be old friends, which he never wanted to part with. And his teacher became his ideal teacher. He started loving him. He developed great deep love and respect for his teacher. So this was how Franz's outlook changed after the rule. Now, after your chapter is over, we have some other questions given under the heading Understanding the Text and Talking about the Text. There are 2 questions under the heading of Understanding the Text. The first question is, the people in this story suddenly realize how precious their language is to them. What shows you this, and why does this happen? Yes, they realize the importance of their language. But how do you know? What shows you, what is the evidence that this has happened? There are many things. See the kind of attention with which the students listen to their teacher. The first evidence which we get from this text is that the whole class is very, very quiet, without any noise, without any commotion. So much quiet that Franz was noticed by everybody when he was late. And the teacher was not angry on him. Second, the teacher was wearing his special dress as if to confer glory on his language, confer glory on his profession of teaching. Teaching is a very, very, very noble profession, the noblest of the profession. And the one who teaches with heart and soul. And so was with M. Hamel. And because he knew that he has to leave the next day, so he was wearing his special dress to pay respect to his language, pay respect to his profession, to pay respect to shower love on the villagers whom he had taught since so many years. Then the villagers, the old villagers, the mayor, the postman, the old houser, they had come and they had occupied the last benches. Old houser had come with his primer. Then the students were so quiet. They were listening everything so attentively. And Franz is thinking that the teacher was not teaching with so much patience. The teacher had not taught with so much patience in any time before. And the students, they were also not so attentive. And then how M. Hamel starts on telling about the importance of their language, saying that French is the most beautiful, the most logical language of the world. Then if we have our language, then it's our key to freedom. This shows patriotism, his deep-rooted patriotism, which he wants to instill in the hearts of his students, whether they are little child like Franz or the old people like postman or houser. And lastly, M. Hamel is not able to look back to the students. He is so much choked with emotion. So all these things show that these people have realized the importance of their language. And of course, when M. Hamel blames everybody, the students like Franz to put learning till the next day, the parents who did not send the children to school, sent them to farms or mills, and of course himself who sent students to water the garden and sent when he wanted to go for fishing, gave them off. So all these things, they show that they realized the importance, they realized what they were going to lose. Now, next question is, Franz thinks, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? What could this mean? And below it's written, there could be more than one answer. This was a sarcastic remark which Franz had thought when the pigeons were cooing over the rooftop. Such a young boy. He also now has understood things. He says that, okay, somebody has occupied our territory, but can that nation, can a person control our soul too? Freedom of a body can be enslaved, heart cannot be enslaved. So this kind of reference shows that the freedom of heart cannot be enslaved. You cannot enslave, you cannot control somebody's thoughts, somebody's patriotism, you cannot bound them. The spirit of patriotism, the spirit of your humanity cannot be bound. So now let's come to the questions of under the heading talking about the text. And here we have 3 questions. First question is, when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. So, can you think of examples in history where a conquered people had their language almost taken away from them, or had a language imposed on them? Very well, it can be related very well to our country. The British, when they had controlled us, they had ruled over us, and it was a kind of, if you know English, it was, you are the educated ones. If you don't know English, then you are somewhat uneducated person, illiterate. The people who don't know English, they were looked inferior. But still then, how we people united, how we people had our culture and tradition held fast to us, in how we fought back. So we have an example back here in our country itself. But yes, we can have other examples too. The other, you can do your own research, and you can search about those countries whose freedom had been taken away, but they held fast to their culture, tradition, their language, and then they got back their freedom. The second question is, what happens to a linguistic minority in a state? How do you think they can keep their language alive? Linguistic minority, we see that in our country, the people of a state, if they don't get proper opportunity, then they move to the other city, other state, and they remain as a minority. And we see these kind of migrants almost in all the cities, in all the states of our country. But then how can we keep our things alive there? If we migrate to other, then we can form a community. We can have several other options. We can form a community. Nowadays, so many social websites are there. We are commuting through a social virtual website. It's a gift of modern scientific technology. We can do that very well. So there are plenty of options. If we want to stay connected, there are plenty of options. The third question. Is it possible to carry pride in one's language too far? Do you know what linguistic chauvinism means? Yes, this question I had done a little bit in the video of themes and characters. Linguistic chauvinism, carrying your language too far, very much far, feeling that your language is superior. This is not good. See, if you're proud of your language, that's perfectly cool. We all are proud of our mother tongues. We all are proud of our states. We all are proud of our regions. We all are proud of our languages. But this does not give us any kind of right to impose our language on other people. They may be the weaker sections of the society, but we cannot impose our language on other people. Nobody has given us that right. If we love our language, it's perfectly fine. But having equal respect for others' language, others' tradition, others' culture is the essence of humanity. And of course, it is the essence of our country also, we the Indians. So, let us be proud of our language, but let us not carry it too far, to such an extent that it is imposed, and it is like a burden for the other ones. So this is all for this class. I hope you have understood the chapter very well. If any doubt, I shall get back to you. I'm telling you again and again, I shall get back to you. Read the chapter till then and stay at home, stay safe, be well. Goodbye.